Hi guys, welcome back. This is the last instalment of our short story, and we are going to end it off in a slightly different way. What I thought we would do is we would finish it off with a letter. Sounds a bit weird, but what it does is it means we can go between kind of levels of formality, and it means that we can really make the reader think about what it is that our character has done and add in some more detail, maybe some emotion, those kind of things that we don't always get in there, aren't always the easiest things to do. So what I thought we would do is we would figure out what part of the story could the letter be from. And if you don't want to do a letter, that's okay. It could be like a ship's log, you know, the captain writing down on the date of blah blah blah, this happened, that happened. So it could almost be like a diary if you prefer. But I'm going to go through how to do a letter at the moment, and you could do it just before he'd set off. He'd written a letter. So these sentence starters here could be how you get into your letter. So just before he had set off, he had written a letter of blah blah blue. Or as the ship had flown towards the storm, he'd scrawled down these words. So it could be something that he'd done in the middle of the storm, or it could be right at the end. As the portal closed, a letter, unseen and unread, floated through the clouds. He'd written it weeks earlier. So you could have that. Absolutely you could have that. It's just going to give us a bit of emotion into it, and I'll explain to you what we could do the letter about and how we can do that in just a mo. So to finish off, we're going to write a letter to his or her family. That could be one way of doing it, as he looked down at the letter he had written. So this is like your last paragraph before you go into the letter. So as he looked down at the letter he had written, he wondered if anyone would ever see it. He read it to himself one last time, and that way we get the letter into our story, and then you start the letter. Or as the ship passed through the emerald green portal, a scrap of singed paper danced through the wind. Its barely legible scrawl read. So barely legible means you can hardly see it. Scrawl is another way of saying handwriting or writing, but usually not very neat. You could also have, as the portal closed, a letter unseen and unread floated through the clouds. He'd written it weeks earlier. So this is kind of going to be your last paragraph. You don't need to use mine. Steal bits from it if you want to. Don't copy it out completely. Come up with some of your own ideas. So this is the bit where we're introducing the letter to the reader. So you need this kind of bridging paragraph, this little paragraph. And I've ended all of mine with an ellipsis. So the ... or dun 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 isn't really a dun 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 this time. It's kind of like introducing the letter. So he read it to himself one last time. And then it's like those bits in the films where the person's reading something and you can hear it in their mind. So moving on from that, the letter could have been in the box. Now this is something I came up with, oh crikey, about 20 minutes ago when I was reading through the flip chart. So I've just written this out. I was quite rushed writing it out, but you could start this part with someone finding the letter that was in the box he had dropped off the side. We need a very different tone if that's what we want to do. So it could be 10 years in the future, someone could dig up the box, or it could be someone found it floating on the shore. So when he dropped that box over the side, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, go into the description, find the link to the video, go and watch the video again. He doesn't throw the box away. He drops it over the side. Maybe that's how the letter gets there. It could be that you just want to say he dropped the box. As he dropped the box over the side, he knew it contained a letter. But actually, with this one, I thought actually hard cut. Stop. And then what happens is our next part of the story is sometime in the future. So somebody else finds the letter. It's a bit like, you know, that kind of part in the Jumanji film where the box is unearthed later on and the boy's already in there, and then later on somebody else finds the box and the box turns into a video game. So it's almost like the same story but in the future. So this next paragraph I'm about to read to you, I'm imagining that it's sometime in the future, someone has found that box and they read the letter. So it goes, as the sun shone across the emerald grass, she ran after her dog. It was barking. This was not unusual, but it had stopped running. What have you found there, boy? She asked. I need to look, so get out of the way, you soppy thing. As she turned the box over, a handwritten letter fluttered to the floor. She picked it up and began to read. And it's at that point we put the letter in. So we're going to write this little paragraph, but it really has a different tone to it. It's different to the story. It's a different character. The only continuity there is the letter that we've got. We're going to write the letter and we're going to write it from the character. But if that's what you want to do as well, that's fine. But if you don't, any of these is fine. And if you want to use bits and pieces from it, you can do that as well. And recommend this if you want to give yourself a challenge, if you want to push yourself a little bit more, this bit here. So then, how to start your letter? Well, we can start a letter in many different ways. Now, you've got to decide, is it a personal letter to somebody, something to do with a flashback or something to do with a clue, to my dear children or to my darling daughter or to my dearest wife? Or it can just be a letter to anybody. He might be desperate. He might be wanting to tell people, whoever it is, he might want to warn someone, but we'll come on to that in a minute. Is it to whoever may find this letter, or is it to anyone out there, or to anyone left alive? So, starting our letter. The content of the letter. So remember that these are the last words that your main character has written. This could be his last will and testament. You know, when someone has a will for when they pop off, for when they shuffle off this mortal coil. Well, actually, he might decide he wants to leave stuff to people. So I wish to let it be known that I leave the following possessions to the people listed in this letter. Firstly, to my darling children, I leave my something important. We don't know what it is, so that they may remember the times that so it could be, I leave my, I don't know, pocket watch. They can remember the times that we ran races in the garden. You know, it can be something quite as simple as that. And write a nice long list of different things that he's going to be leaving to people. So that could be what you choose to do. Or it could be to anyone who finds it, explaining why they did what they did. I am not sure anyone will read this, but I had to let someone know. If I succeeded, then this letter might be found. Just know that I am sorry for causing this, and that my hope is that I have made things right. So it could be that if your character had made some big mistake, I know we spoke about that earlier on, made some big mistake or caused the storm or had to fix something, maybe they're writing this, maybe they feel guilt, maybe they feel regret, maybe they just want to let someone know that they're doing their best to fix whatever it is that they have done. It could be just a letter talking about his or her emotions. I'm so lonely up here, lonely and scared. Look, I've used that adjective, I've used that same word again. So I'm not sure what will become of me. I wish I had more time, and yet I want it to be over too. It's as if the storm is watching me, as if the eye of the storm can see me, can peer into my very soul. So maybe he's feeling apprehensive, anxious, worried, or just lonely, and he wants to write something down. So that's fine as well, and that could be more like a diary entry if you want, and not a letter. Again, it's totally up to you how you want to do it. I mean, he could have put his diary in the box and thrown it over. So we don't know. That box disappeared down there for a reason. We don't know what that reason was. So when we set it out, you don't need to worry about the address, as it may not be to anyone in particular. But what you need to do is you need to write dear whoever, or to anyone left alive, or to anyone reading this. And then what we do is we leave a line. We put a comma and then we leave a line. Now the first paragraph should introduce the letter, and we've spoken about that. That's the kind of the setting out bit that I said to you before. I'm so lonely up here. So we could have, dear anyone, to anyone left alive, I'm so lonely up here, lonely and scared. I'm not sure what will become of me. I wish I had more time, and so on. The next few paragraphs, and yes, I don't just want 2 paragraphs, explain what the letter is for. Try and include lots of detail, and try and include lots of figurative language as well, all that lovely language that we've been talking about over the last week or so. And then you can concluding paragraph, sum up your points and link it to the introduction. The next couple of slides will help you with that. Don't worry, I'm not leaving you hanging. So, remember that these are the last words that your main character has written. They could be his last will and testament. So, the end of it, so this links back to here. That could be the opening. I wish to let it be known that I leave the following possessions to the people listed in this letter. Firstly, to my darling, blah, blah, blah. And then you could finish that off with, I hope that these wishes are adhered to, and that these items find their way to their rightful owners. Now, you can use that if you want. You can use something else. Now, if you've decided to start your letter with the emotions and that kind of stuff, my hope is that this letter lets people know what I have done. I hope people realise that I am sorry. Sorry for all the hurt I have caused. So if you've gone with the emotional one, you've gone with that one there, that can be your ending of your letter. But again, don't copy it word for word. Just have a go at changing it around a bit. You can use the format if you want to. And it could be talking about his or her emotions again. If this letter is ever found, let it be a warning to all. Don't go down the same path I did. Feel the way I felt and touch the loneliness I have touched. Now, you can sign it off with his name. if you want to, but you can just leave it then blank. It's not a proper official letter you would send to somebody complaining about something or other. Oh, dear sir, I am complaining to you about the chocolate bar that I bought that was mouldy and white and disgusting. No, you don't need to worry about that. It doesn't need an address. It doesn't need anything. It's just a letter that's floated away, and hopefully someone has read it. We will see. Again, you've got your help sheet there with all the other bits and pieces, and please pause the video. Please go back and have another look at the Eye of the Storm video. Please go back and have another look at this video and pause it where you need to help. If you would like to have the flip chart itself, I've got it on a PDF, so you can either download that or you can look at it online, and if you go to the description, it's in there. The link is right in there. I hope you've enjoyed this writing. It's something I would have done with my class anyway, with you guys out there anyway. And it was the thing that we were going to be doing next, actually. But I've quite enjoyed making these videos. I hope you've done some amazing writing. And if you haven't, then why are you watching the video? Honestly, go back, do some writing, get it done. Take care, guys. Stay safe, and I will speak to you soon.